Right, last bit of data for the day. I'm going to show you how you can use some of the police data and have a look at kind of the environments that perhaps you're investigating on your projects. So if you open up the website data.police.uk/data, you're left with a screen that looks like this. And you need to pick out the location, the police force that you're looking for. So I'm going to pick have a Cambridge focus again, the Cambridge Constabulary on here. And this is just picking out data for crimes in December 2018, but you could change that. I'm just going to keep it for 1 month to keep the volume a little bit lower, and then generate file. If I click on download now, it'll open me up a zip file, and in that zip file I will have an Excel document with a whole load of data from the Cambridge Constabulary in December. So let's have a look what happened in Cambridge. Let's just make this full screen. So I'm going to get rid of a few things that I don't want. I'm going to get rid of a crime ID number. They're all in December, so I'm going to get rid of the month. They're all in Cambridge, so I'm going to get rid of these things. You can delete all of those. You can see I've got a latitude and a longitude for all the crimes. Now that sounds pretty useful for me, given that I want to be plotting all of these things in here. Bizarrely, some of the longitudes in here have got negative numbers on there, and this must have been a crime that was reported to the Cambridge Constabulary either erroneously or maybe out of catchment, who knows. And I'm going to get rid of, let's have a look what's on here. I don't mind about the codes for the names of locations. Let's get rid of those. I'm not really fussed about what the name of the streets were and things like that. Let's get rid of those. And then I've got a crime type. That might be interesting. Let's keep that. And last outcomes. That's whether it's under investigation and things like that. Let's get rid of these bits. So I'm left with now a longitude for my crime, a latitude for my crime, and the crime type that's down on here. And I can see in here I've got antisocial behaviour, bicycle thefts, no surprise for Cambridge, criminal damage, arson, loads of things kicking around in here. So what do I want to do? Let's say I want to plot all of the bicycle thefts in Cambridge. Let's do that. So I'm going to click on crime type at the top, and I am going to go to data, click on filter my data. That will give me this little drop down arrow to the side. If I click on that, I can then filter this bit by what I want. So I'm not going to select all I want to see is the bicycle thefts. Click on bicycle theft, okay, and now I have the latitude and longitude of all the bicycle thefts in Cambridge over the December period. Wow, there's loads of them in the December period from last year. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab all of that data, and I'm going to, in fact, let's do that again with the titles. I'm going to grab all that data, and I'm just going to copy. At the moment I've got all of the rows in behind as well, and I just want the bicycle data. So I'm going to open up a new Excel book, just Control N for a new one, and then paste that data in, Control V down in there. And now you can see all I've got in there is latitude, longitude, and crime type, bicycle theft. So what am I going to do? As before, File, Save As. I'm just going to dump it. In fact, I didn't want that today. It's got my OneDrive. Let's put my computer. Let's put it somewhere in. Let's put it on the desktop. Bike crime Cambridge. I've saved it as an Excel worksheet, but what I need to do is I need to save it not just as an Excel worksheet, I need to save it as a CSV file again. CSV, comma delimited. Done. Let's save that in there. Let's see what it wants. Yes, I'm happy with those bits. Right, let's close this one down. Let's get rid of that for a second. I don't need those anymore. And I'm going to open back up ArcGIS. ArcGIS is on here. sign myself back into ArcGIS. And I'm going to do the same as I did before. So I'm going to click on the map tab at the top. That'll open up mapping software. I want add, layer from file, and I'm going to find my CSV file that was kicking around in here. So if I look on the type over here, I can see I've got bike crime as the worksheet. That's the one I could go back and edit afterwards, or the CSV file there. So I want the CSV file, import my layer, bingo. Look at that. That's pretty cool. So that's opened up all of the data on bike crimes across the Cambridge district in December. So I can see that their data must include all the way over to places like St Neots, Peterborough, etc. But I can zoom in if I want to and have a look in Cambridge, and I can see a distribution there of bike crime across the city. So I can see areas where there are more bike crime. So obviously the city centre, where there must be lots of thefts around on here. But actually, there's a higher density of thefts in northern Cambridge than there was down in southern Cambridge, and there's only a couple of bike thefts down in Trumpington, for example. So I don't quite have the same options as I did with the proportional circles, because none of these circles here have a value attached to them. They're just a single data point. So they're all sort of one point in those particular locations, but I can do what I want with those. I could print those off, etc. If I wanted to, I could do the same thing with a different crime as well, and I could map bike crimes and violent crimes, and I could just add in here another layer, add in a different layer on top of that, do it the same way as I've done before, and use my second lot as a different colour, and I could map bike crimes in red and violent crimes in green or something if I wanted to. Options for playing with them as before. You can open these kind of things up and change transparencies, colours, symbols if you want to. Change the size of the symbols, change the fill of the symbols, the outline of the symbols if you want to swap colours with them, or anything that you choose on those as you please. Have a think about what makes sense. That now looks pretty horrendous, and those circles are too big, and I'd want to make those smaller, but that's part of the decision of making a good piece of data presentation by the time you're finished. And that is the how to use the data on there. So second way that you can use the data from the police is that you can use their mapping tools if you want to, and it might depend on what you want to do. It's slightly more sophisticated to download some data and show some data, but you might want to just have a look at data for your particular area. So if let's open up a second website, which is www.police.uk, an imaginative website name. And if you open up this website, let's just close down a few others, try to speed this up a bit. This will give you some information on crime and policing in England, Wales and Northern Ireland. So I'm going to find my neighbourhood. I'm going to type in here, I am in Cambridge. Search for Cambridge, and then I've got Cambridge City Centre, Histon or Cambridge North. I'm going to go for the city centre, so let's have a look what's in the city centre. And when I open this up, I can see a map with the outline of where the data is going to come from. So this is what's classified as Cambridge City Centre, so you'd need to find out, if you wanted other parts of the town, what theirs were. And you can see on here 316 crimes reported in Cambridge City Centre during that time. So I can explore the crime map. When I open the crime map up, I can again change dates for when things were reported, etc., and look at different types of crimes across the city. So I can look at where the shoplifting offences were in December. Let's update that, and I can see that most of the shoplifting occurred somewhere in the middle of the city. And if you zoom in, it should give you slightly better distributions of exactly where some of these were. So if I go down in here, let's have a look. Oh, look at that. John Lewis, 9 bits of shoplifting in December. in John Lewis. 9 crimes of shoplifting in that particular part, and I can look at other parts of the Grand Arcade, for example. Who'd have known it? John Lewis, naughty naughty, middle class mischief. So you can rummage around on here, have a look as you change your layer in terms of how zoomed in or zoomed out you are. Obviously the numbers cluster together a little bit, and that may or may not work for what you need, and you need to have a think about what layer you want on those, but you can do as you please on those. If you want to, you can zoom back out. At the moment I'm just looking at Cambridge, but you can define your own area. So at the moment I'm just looking at what they classify as Cambridge. What do they call it? Cambridge City Centre, and that's the outline for Cambridge City Centre. But if I want to, I can, with these bits up on here, I can have a look at either a kind of 1 mile radius from a set location and look at all the crimes that were in there. And if I update, I should, maybe I haven't done many crimes, shoplifting crimes, there's not a lot of shops over here. Let's zoom out and let's do it on a bigger scale, and we should see some other ones. I can put my own area with this little pen on here, so I'm going to draw my own area now. I'm going to go right round some of the little settlements around the outside. Let's hope some people have been nicking some stuff from Shelford for the purposes of this. Double click the last one, and now I've defined my own area. Voila, I've got some different crimes to have a look at. So we've got 3 in Bar Hill. What's that? The Tesco's up top in Bar Hill. Who knows? We've got 3 on Viking Way. I'm not sure what's on Viking Way. And you can unpick some of the crimes in different regions. And now, actually, when I zoom into Cambridge, I can see that there are other hotspots of crime around Cambridge rather than just down in the city centre. I've got a few out here on Newmarket Road. That's in the shops that are all down here, the B&Qs, DFSs, those kind of things that are down there. And yeah, you can have a rummage and look for those. So these might be kind of interesting things for you to think about when you're planning your project, when you're looking for indices to think about how deprived an area is. Maybe if you're just trying to justify your own safety in a region, you want to think about what kind of crimes might be going on in an area when you're thinking about planning your project, for example.